Y'all have to understand, you must set the standard, because if not, someone's going to set that standard for you, and it's going to be a low standard. Like, put yourself on a better pedestal than that. Why are you willing to just accept low standards? That makes no sense. Hold people accountable. Like, that's not the way people should live. And that's why there are these slumlords, because of tenants like some in the comments that's willing to just accept whatever.
I don't know what people's standards are, but our standards are high. We are not coming down off of our standards. And not to mention, the things that we are asking for is something that should be done. You should not have to walk into any type of property and see the previous tenants, everything they ate, everything inside the microwave, mattresses, things belongings that is dirty mattresses on top of that.
It was all black and webs all
holes in the wall. Y'all, the landlord had not been to that property in 15 months. Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. We're driving because obviously, like we mentioned in the other video, we are traveling, we're moving to Virginia, so there's a lot of back and forth happening right now. But we wanted to come on to address the video that we put out a few days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, about our experience with the rental property that we encountered when we came to Virginia. So there's been many comments about, oh, people don't see what the problem was. You're supposed to do cleaning when you go to a house. Even some as rude as, I'm acting like a Karen because I'm like entitled or self-righteous or whatever the hell the case is. But the thing is, we showed y'all in the beginning of the video what we were supposed to walk into. We showed you the pictures, and when we got to the property, it was nothing like that. We showed everything. Just because in the video it appeared to be like there was nothing, like it looked like it was swept clean or whatever, there were many things that were not disclosed to us. And not to mention, we were moving there to sign because we have to be there. That house was not move-in ready at all. There were clearly termite damage. It was a mice infestation, which the realtor disclosed later on because he chose not to disclose. Every time we asked, what is it else that we need to know, he would never say anything. So we had to like pry it out of him. So for those of you who said, oh, well, it's just a cleaning job, that is not our job. Landlords take the security deposit to do this exact thing. We would never leave our properties like this for any tenant. That is just completely unacceptable. You don't do that. That thing needed to be deep cleaned professionally, and there were things that needed to be addressed.
Well, first, one of the questions that I asked prior to our arrival, while we were in Florida, I specifically asked, has there been a pest problem? His response was no. The only thing that was ever happened with this property in regards to pests, he said, was termites. He said, and that was a couple years ago, and that was rectified. That was false, because once we saw the mice and then we asked him about the mice, he then later on called us and told us, yeah, I just found out that this property did have a mice infestation. He said, but it was fixed. Obviously, it's not fixed if we're still seeing them, and this is our first time in the property. With the security deposit, I even inquired about that. I said, okay, with it looking like this, why wasn't the security deposit used to fix the property? Because that's the purpose of the security deposit. He said he doesn't know. So meaning that that security deposit was literally just pocketed. That's not how you operate. You don't do things like that. Imagine just walking into like a hotel or an Airbnb and you see all these spider webs and you see mice in your hotel room. You see roaches on the floor in your hotel room or Airbnb and spiders all over the place. And you're walking into these webs all the time. And out back, you see these raccoon traps. Like, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to be like, oh, hell no. You're going to leave. I want my money back. Those are the things you're going to do.
Yeah.
So that same standard you need to uphold when you're moving into a rental property somewhere that you are going to be longer. Again, yes, you clean it when you move in, but you don't move in to do a whole official cleaning, like, you know, like basically cleaning everything that the previous person didn't do when the landlord has that security deposit, which should be used for that. On top of that, you got to cut the grass for a property that you're going to move into initially. No. Y'all have to understand, you must set the standard, because if not, someone's going to set that standard for you and it's going to be a low standard. Like, put yourself on a better pedestal than that. Why are you willing to just accept low standards? That makes no sense. Hold people accountable. Like, that's not the way people should live. And that's why there are these slumlords, because of tenants like some in the comments that's willing to just accept whatever. That's why these slumlords exist, because they know they can just get away with it.
And just as a backstory for those who are new, because we've gained a lot of subscribers from that one video.
Go check out our rental properties.
Yep.
You will see how we turned it over.
Yep.
How it should be.
We definitely appreciate that. T and I, as we mentioned, we are landlords ourselves. We have multiple properties in Florida, and we are relocating to Virginia, back to Virginia, Northern Virginia, and we are renting a property. That's what's happening here. Like T mentioned, I don't know what people's standards are, but our standards are high. We are not coming down off of our standards. And not to mention, the things that we are asking for is something that should be done. You should not have to walk into any type of property and see the previous tenants, everything they ate, everything inside the microwave, mattresses, things belongings that is dirty mattresses on top of that.
It was all black and webs all
holes in the wall. Y'all, the landlord had not been to that property in 15 months. You heard the realtor. You heard everything that they said. And if you did not hear what the realtor said out of his mouth, we definitely encourage you to go back to listen to what he said.
The realtor himself even said, yeah, the property shouldn't be this high. But the thing about it with that realtor, he's the property manager. These are things he should be doing. He's getting paid. And that's what we talk about even with property managers.
This is why we don't have them.
He's wasting his money.
And this isn't the first property, y'all. This was just the icing on the cake.
On top of that, he said, you know, this is the feedback. Listen to the video. He said, this is the feedback that I keep getting about the place. So you receiving a lot of feedback like this about the place
and refuse to do anything.
And refuse to do anything. Complete slumlord.
He's a slumlord.
Horrible. You know, like I said, this is what people pay their money for, to property managers. And in some states, you're paying 11%, for example. Like Florida, 11%. At minimum, you're paying at least like 8%.
Yeah. And someone asked, like, how much it was. Y'all, this property is over 4 G's. You are not getting anything less than that in Northern Virginia. These properties are high as hell. So, I wouldn't even care if it was $1,000. You don't do that to anybody. You tell them about the other properties.
Well, you always have backup. And so one of the properties that was backup, we received 2 calls en route. And with one of the calls, the property manager says, oh yeah, I forgot to mention too, that there are people currently living here, but they're in the basement. There's a family living in the basement. But I still think this is a great house for you guys if you guys can just bypass the family that's living in the basement, or you can pay $1,500 for the basement, and so you can have the entire house, which will put us at a total of $5,000. Now, there are people living in the basement, and with utilities, it's not split. They didn't do, I can't remember the method you have to do it. I haven't lived in Virginia in some time, but there's a way you have to do it with splitting like the water, for example. Mm-hmm. But it's not split. And since it's not split, technically the landlord should be covering it, because you can't differentiate how much utilities the people that are living in the home upstairs are between that are living in, it's not, I wouldn't even say the basement, but the basement is what they call it. I'm not really saying it's a basement, because the way that it is they can literally just walk up into the house. It's not a basement where it's closed off at the end like some houses. It's literally you walk from the first floor, you open that door and you walk down to the basement, and then you can walk back up from the basement and walk up to the kitchen and walk all over the house.
And y'all, we have to have standards for the landlords. This message to y'all: do not put no tenant in nothing that would ever look like that. I mean, come on now. People have families, people have lives. They need to be in reasonable accommodations. This is unacceptable on all fronts. And to people who are tenants, don't accept any landlord that will put you in any condition like that. We're not saying you shouldn't clean the house. You should always clean anything, even when you go to a hotel. I mean, cleaners are trifling. But don't just accept the fact that, okay, well, you're supposed to do that anyway. Like T mentioned, they take a security deposit. What is that for? Like, literally, what is that for? If they're not going to clean with the security deposit.
Exactly. That's what it's supposed to be used for. The landlord's supposed to use it for that. You know, for damages, for cleaning. You know, those are used for that, for things that are not beyond wear and tear.
But charging for a clean out should be a part of it. And what we're noticing here, a lot of these landlords, they are not, well, a lot of them are in property management situations, but the tenant is cleaning, like doing the cleaning when they leave, and they're clearly not abiding to a checklist.
Yeah, where's the move out checklist?
They're not doing any move out checklist. Because we're walking in these properties and there's clear holes and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, well, make sure you document that. No, hell no. You should have documented that when that previous tenant left. Because you know what's going to happen? If we do not document it, it will fall on us. And then it's almost like a scam. Like, every time someone else moves in, they don't document it, and then all of a sudden they get charged for what the previous tenant did.
Even carpets, they should be professionally clean. The carpet should, like when you move in like an apartment, carpets, typically you see the lines, that triangle lines and everything, so you know it's professionally clean. That's how it should look in a house also. The carpet should look clean, and there's a timeline on carpet as well. And you can tell when a carpet has reached beyond its limit.
And that carpet clearly has reached beyond its limit. And then another thing, y'all, there was no light bulbs anywhere. Like, that was just weird to us. We kept asking, where the hell are the light bulbs?
No light bulbs, and then no socket covers for the electrical.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the smoke detector beeping, but then when you look up at some of them, there's cords hanging down, so there were no smoke detectors. I mean, even like Section 8, for example, they wouldn't even pass that house.
No,
especially
hell no.
with no smoke detectors like that. That house would be a complete fail.
But that's a hazard. There's a reason why there is smoke detectors in a house.
Exactly. That would be a complete fail, like with a Section 8 inspection, for example.
It was horrible. It was horrible.
So that shows even standards right there, like for Section 8, for example.
So I suggest when you take this as like a learning or whatever, use this video, whatever, it doesn't even matter. Whenever you go into any property, you seen T was checking out everything, the electrical, all that stuff. It's because you have to. You have to. And there's other things that you need to be checking out as well. The things that are not being said. That's why in the video I kept asking, I want to know, is this an absentee landlord? I mean, you can look at the property and tell that the landlord don't give a damn about the property. He don't care. You heard what the guy said. It used to be his vacation home. Now it's just purely an investment. He wanted to put it on Airbnb, but another realtor did a disservice to him and said you can get $5,000 a month for the property. Y'all, the property was rented for $5,200. You'll be a damn fool to walk in that property and pay $5,200.
But you're paying more than that. You're paying $10,400 because you have to put down a security deposit.
Yeah, to move in.
That's equal to at least 1 month's rent. Because sometimes people charge more than that for security. So you are putting down at least $10,400 to then on top of that, you have to go and get you a lawnmower to cut the grass. On top of that, you got to go pay for pest control to get rid of the mice and all that. Then you're talking about an inspection for the ceiling, which is definitely not your responsibility as a tenant. I mean, the list going on. Then you got to replace the screen. Then the door knobs you got to replace. The socket covers on the outlet. Like, it's so much. You're looking at close to $12,000-$13,000. And you ain't even buying this place.
Exactly.
And like Jack was saying too about kind of like learning from this, someone said, you know, instead of saying this and this, y'all should be teaching. What do you think we're talking about? We're telling you about these things for educational purposes. And we're showing you as well.
That's what our whole channel is about.
Take it the right way.
Everything we do on our channel, we don't charge for this. We hit people to the game on what it is. We are documenting our real life. This is our real life. This is not some made up production videos. Whatever we go through, we put it out on YouTube and just tell people, like, look, y'all, this is really what it is. We haven't been in the rental game. We haven't been renters for years. For years.
Because...
But we set our standards so high as landlords, because if you ask any of our tenants, they will tell y'all that y'all they treat us good. They treat us good.
You don't want to walk in a situation. You just signed the lease, and now, boom, I got you. You signed that lease, and now all of a sudden you cut on the water, it's barely coming out.
Exactly.
And now the landlord taking forever to even do anything about it. We know things that happen like this on so many occasions. Even we know somebody now that's going through things.
Exactly.
Like, you want to check on that. You want to go ahead and check that there's no issues, you know, going on with the electrical. Check the circuit breakers. Open that box. Make sure nothing's out. You know, you want to check and check. Ask about pests. Look around. Make sure there are no pests. Look around. Make sure all the electrical covers are there. You want to make sure that the smoke detector battery's been changed. You want to look and make sure that it's operational. You know, check your windows, because that's another place that sometimes, you know, a lot of times they don't get clean. You want to check all the things. You want to check every single thing, because once you sign, you are signed and agreed to the way that it is.
And another thing is, you can negotiate. Don't just sign that lease and just take whatever terms they give you. You can always negotiate. At the end of the day, like, these houses are just sitting. Like, let's be real here. Everybody trying to rent their house out and do whatever. No, you negotiate. You don't just take things for what they are. They said, this is how much the house is. Oh, well, $4,500. Absolutely not. We're not paying that.
Oh, so speaking of that, even on camera, you heard the property manager, y'all listen, the property manager himself said he wouldn't pay this.
Exactly. Y'all should really go back.
Like,
if you haven't seen that video, go back and listen to everything that was coming out of that man's mouth.
He even said in the point, we got in there between you and I, guys, you know, I mean, he said that he would pay. He listed a price. He said about $400-500 less.
Exactly.
So I mean,
So
why
how
y'all
you
mad
think
at
we
us?
feel? The property is overpriced by $500, and you trying to get $4,000, and like, what we supposed to do?
But he even said too. He said the price is high because they had pet. They had pets. He said there was a pet monthly fee included.
But we don't have pets, and they still trying to charge us that.
I think he said $200 or $250.
Yeah, a month.
A month. So that's already should get taken off. Come on.
Like, come on. Like, no. Like, let me tell you something. Just like T said in the beginning, if you put yourself out there willing to get played, you will get played. If you don't think for yourself, people will think for you. That's just the reality of things. People know how to take advantage of people that look like they can get taken advantage of. That's why we always disclose to every single person we're going to rent from, we say we're landlords. And the reason why we say that is because, first of all, what you think you're about to do is not about to happen. So we're coming with a certain standard, and that's what we want from, especially if you're a tenant. Have those standards.
You have power. Like,
you have
don't
power.
just
Don't
accept just conditions. You got power. There's a lot of properties out here. There's a lot of apartments out here. You'll never walk into an apartment like that. An apartment for sure gonna charge that move out cleaning fee, and they're gonna clean it. They're gonna use it for that on top of that.
They're gonna charge you everything. You get a scuff on the baseboard, normal wear and tear, they about to charge you for it. Don't do it. Don't sign no lease just because you're in a situation. And like we said, we have to move. Like, we have to. We have a week to be here, be back here. We only had a few days. That's why we came up on the weekend. And people are out here wasting our time.
Don't complain about the slumlords if you are not willing to hold them accountable. Because constantly complaining about them does absolutely nothing.
Exactly. We tell our tenants too, we say, look, if we ain't doing what we supposed to do, pull our card. Pull our card. We ain't got no problem with that, because we damn sure will pull someone else's card. Do not accept these conditions. Everybody that walks through one of our properties, they say, oh my gosh, it's so nice. It's so nice.
They
oh my
say,
goodness.
this is a dream home. I wish I can, buy something like this.
We say, turn on the water. Check the electrical box.
We tell them, we guide them on what to do.
Check everything. Do not just take substandard things.
Even we tell them, look, open the bottom cabinet right here. Make sure that there's no leaks from the sink.
Exactly.
No leaks from these faucets. Cut on this electricity. Cut this on. Do this, do that. Like, we tell them to do all that stuff. That ain't just, we protecting us.
No.
That's teaching them.
Exactly. And you guys got to understand, like, I know it could, to some people, it may come off as like, oh my gosh, like, whatever, I would never rent to them. Especially on our channel, there's a lot of landlords that follow us too. There's tenants that follow us too and stuff like that. But y'all, we can't do it without each other. Let's understand what's happening. Now, we say this in every single video. In order for us to be landlords, there has to be a tenant that you are landlording. Like, let's be serious here. And now we're switching positions, and we see it. We see it. We've been seeing it. Go back to our previous videos. We have a whole podcast on the horrible stories about our land being tenants. It's horrible. The type of situations that people are willing to put people in. Think about it. If you have kids, think about your kids, everything. And they're seeing you out here like, okay, well, willing to fold to certain conditions. They're going to see that when they grow up. Absolutely not. I do not care how a person feels. You tell them right then and there in the And as a realtor, the person showing us that property definitely should be ashamed of himself. I'm a former realtor. There is no way in hell I would have. Let me tell you something.
And you can't put fake pictures online.
Yes,
either.
that is definitely against the NAR. You cannot do that without disclosing that. Totally against it. Even if, I remember when I used to show houses, and I would always arrive about an hour early before the showing. And you know what I was doing? I was making sure it was tidied up. I was making sure there was no cobwebs. I was making sure there was no type of dust anywhere. I was wiping down the fridge because it's always stains from stainless steel and all that other stuff. I was making sure everything was right. I was making sure the house smelled right and everything like that. You set a standard when someone comes into there.
But speaking of fridge, and see, this is another thing. We're going to show you also, because we did get to view other properties which were much nicer. So
and we'll show you that
we're good to
in
go
another
with this move. So yeah, we gotta put that video out because you're going to see it night and day. But one of the things that property manager told us, he said one of the tenants complained because the tenant said you promised a refrigerator and never put a refrigerator into this house. Where's the refrigerator? So I guess they never gave the refrigerator. So what the tenant ended up doing, they went down to that rental property manager's office and he egged their door. He egged the door. Like, those are things, like, even though it's just egging the door, like, that's disgusting. But what's going to happen next? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't sign something that's not in writing. Don't listen to
a promise.
I'm a promise. Yeah, I got you. The fridge gonna be. No, why isn't the fridge right here now? No, this refrigerator needs to be in this unit prior to my move in and prior to I sign this lease.
Exactly.
And if you're gonna sign the lease prior to that refrigerator's there, which is some odd reason, make sure that it's written on that lease, because now guess what? That property manager ain't gonna do it. It's not in writing and it's not there in the property.
Exactly. Don't appear to be desperate. Don't appear to be that way, because I know, and before anyone says anything, I know there are certain situations where you can't get anything and you just have to take what you have to take. I get all that. But if that is not the case, do not appear to be desperate. You say what the hell you want included. Under no circumstance will I be moving in. Because they know they can't play with you with that. Remember, these people got their lawyers and stuff making these leases.
Mm-hmm. It's
okay?
Not in writing.
It is not in favor of you, the tenant. It's not in favor of you. That's just what it is.
Even this same property manager was telling us a story. He said he has this lieutenant colonel. So with the military, you guys, when you stay on post, you get basically an allowance. It's BAH. You get basically a housing allowance, which will pay for your stay on base. And so this high-ranking individual, basically in the military, who's lived on base his entire career, now decided to move off base, and all of a sudden his electricity gets shut off and his water gets shut off. So he's sending messages to the property manager complaining, like, why you cut this out going off? And the property manager, who's also retired military, says, we didn't do it. You just didn't switch it over and pay the utilities. So technically they had it cut off, because the military personnel who moved in was supposed to switch over the utilities and pay, but he wasn't used to that because when you live on an installation, it's all covered. And so their argument was, well, you should have read the fine print. And then again, you can't argue with that because it's in writing. So that's also the importance. You must read your leases. If you don't understand your leases, get somebody involved who do understand what's going on in your lease.
Exactly. We're helping someone right now with their lease, because these, like we said, it's not in favor of the tenant, but that lease will put you in a chokehold, having you doing things that you never even thought should be a part of the lease.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite sad,
It's quite sad.
And it's like,
gotta read it, y'all.
These landlords would just,
it's just really trifling what is happening out here. And this really and this is why this bothers us, because we are landlords. This makes landlords look bad.
And we need each other, like
Exactly.
Jack was saying earlier.
We need each other. Like,
landlord,
cut it out.
You need that tenant to pay your property, to pay your mortgage, basically.
Exactly.
And at the same time, you're making a profit. And, for the tenant, you need the landlord because you need a roof over your head. So, it's
but
equal.
At the end of the day, they have to work together.
That's what I'm saying. You need each other.
Exactly.
Do the right thing on both ends.
Exactly. Take care of that property. Like we keep saying. That's how we got found. Everybody came to our video because of the tenant that destroyed our home. All we wanted them to do is take care of our property. We're not on your ass. We're not all up in your face and all this other stuff. And another thing, if we gotta go and check on you every month, then you don't need to be in our properties. That's another thing. You a grown person. We don't need to check on you every month.
Speaking of that, it's funny because somebody said you need to be over there like every week or two. Like, come on.
Like, come on now.
What you think this is prison?
Exactly. No, we ain't anyone doing that.
Go on.
Like you have trust in the people that you chose to rent to, and that's what it should be. We are grown adults.
It's
okay?
like rental prison. That's what it's like. Got to go by that cell, as a house every day and check on them, make sure.
Talk.
Like,
that's crazy talk.
People say some crazy stuff.
Exactly. I think when we get settled or things like that, we can go over like what we do for our properties and stuff like that, how we create the tenant experience, because we have a total what we call the tenant experience to make sure that everything is properly done. And this is why we get on here and tell y'all, because like no one is doing this. No one's doing this. No one's talking about, just do this. Like we're telling you to like go and do this. Like who cares that they're a landlord and a property manager or whatever, realtor? Who gives a damn? No one cares about none of that. You come correct and that's it. That's it.
Man, it don't even matter what it is. Hold your standards.
Hold your standards high.
Like, even if it's like a car, like you ain't gonna go lease a car and it got all these bugs, and stains all in it.